Today I'm diving into the cringiest TikTok financial mistakes of 2024, and I'm challenging myself to spot every single one before they ruin my wallet. When it comes to personal finance, the internet can be a wild west of misinformation and bad advice. And TikTok, with its short-form videos and endless scrolling, is a breeding ground for financial faux pas. That's why it's more important than ever to be aware of these pitfalls and to think critically about the financial advice we're served online. Social media platforms like TikTok are designed to be addictive, and it's easy to get sucked into watching video after video of get-rich-quick schemes and overnight success stories. But the truth is, these videos often promote unrealistic expectations and encourage viewers to take unnecessary risks with their hard-earned cash. And the consequences can be devastating. I've seen people lose thousands of dollars to pyramid schemes or rack up massive credit card debt trying to fund a lavish lifestyle. The worst part is, many of these financial mistakes are entirely avoidable. In many cases, the people dishing out financial advice on TikTok aren't even qualified to do so. They may have a charismatic personality or a large following, but that doesn't mean that they know the first thing about personal finance. And yet their videos are often filled with persuasive rhetoric and convincing statistics that make their advice sound legit. It's up to us as viewers to be vigilant and to fact check every claim before taking action. Otherwise, we risk falling prey to some of the most common financial scams out there. In addition to that, corporations use other sneaky ways to keep the middle class in debt. They often partner with popular creators to showcase one of their products in a discreet way. Usually the creator somehow incorporates the product into their video, and their followers who are loyal to that creator tend to want the same items as their idol has. This is also done sometimes without the corporation even partnering with the creator. It happens with popular brands like Versace, where a creator will be wearing their product in a video and will inadvertently push that desire onto their audience, who mostly consist of people who can't afford non-essential items of that price. Lastly, there are just straight up extremely cringy videos posted by people who ran into financial troubles. Often on TikTok, you can find someone who's wildly in credit card debt, or someone who has a $1,000 car payment even though they don't make nearly enough to truly afford a payment of that size. Then there are the get-rich-quick schemes that promise overnight success with little to no effort. These schemes often involve some kind of multi-level marketing or pyramid scheme, and they're designed to part you from your hard-earned cash. And let's not forget the influencers who peddle fake investment opportunities or shady tax loopholes. These people are often motivated by their own self-interest rather than a genuine desire to help others. The most cringeworthy part is when people boast about making money through questionable means, and then act like they're some sort of financial guru. I've seen people brag about earning thousands of dollars through online surveys or making a killing through drop shipping, but when you dig deeper, it's often a bunch of fluff and no substance. Or worse, they're just straight up lying about their income or their financial situation. Another mistake is when people treat investing like a game rather than a serious investment strategy. I've seen people invest in hot stocks or trendy cryptocurrencies without doing their research and then seem surprised when they lose their shirts. Or they'll boast about making a quick profit without realizing that investing is mostly a long-term game. But here's the thing, we all can learn from these people's financial mistakes. By recognizing the warning signs and being vigilant, we can avoid these common pitfalls and make better decisions with our money. So let's get into some of these TikToks. First, we're checking out somebody with $40,000 in credit card debt.
I have $40,000 in credit card debt. 40. So let's talk about it. First of all, that is a statement that I thought I would be taking to my grave. I never thought I would tell another soul, and in fact, until today, I have never told another soul about my struggles with credit card debt, because this is not the beginning. If we rewind all the way back to about 19 or 20-year-old Lana, that is when my journey with credit card debt began. I was 19 years old and I was dating a man who was 31, and he did not support me or help me financially in any way, and I was trying to live his lifestyle off my minimum wage job, and I was living outside my means, to be quite frank. I got myself into credit card debt. I stayed in credit card debt until I was about 21, at which point I was able to pay it off over the course of just like really cutting back and being very diligent about making as many extra payments as I could to my debt. And then I got out of it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the most freeing thing. I'm never doing that again. And then I did. And then I paid that debt off. And you know what? I repeated the cycle again. I'm in my third cycle of credit card debt. And at this point, my threshold has just gotten so big. Your threshold for debt increases with time, right? It's just like your threshold for anything else that creates stress in your life. Over time, your body has to adapt to the current conditions. So your threshold for what it can hold expands. So right now, the number 40 probably feels staggering to some of you, but it's not a number that I feel fear around. So why am I sharing this with all of you? Well, because this debt that I've carried on and off for almost all of my 20s has cultivated so much shame for me. So much shame.
Honestly, good for her for getting up the courage to talk about it and reflect on where she went wrong. Of course, she states that this started when she was 19, which is common for most people. Credit card companies absolutely love to target teenagers who have no experience with money. It seems kind of weird that she was either expecting her boyfriend to pay for her to rise to his lifestyle, or that she thought that she needed to live his type of lifestyle on a minimum wage job. People should always be upfront with their partner and set financial boundaries. Since she kept paying off her debt and going into those cycles, it sounds like her credit card company took advantage of her spending habits by increasing her credit line every time she paid it off, which is a classic trick these companies use, and she fell right into it. But honestly, good for her for coming forward on that, and it seems like she genuinely is trying to put her story out there to help people. But she needs a plan, so let's see what that is.
I directly had my self-worth tied up into my financial picture. And so I thought that because of the fact that I had this debt, I was not worthy. I was not worthy. And as I've been doing a deep dive into my subconscious mind, just really into my psyche in general over the last couple of years, I have looked at everything very, very, very honestly. But money's been the one thing that I've been avoiding. The one thing that I've been avoiding. And over the last month, I have gotten to a place where I cannot avoid it anymore because I am in a very unique situation when it comes to my finances. And I've been doing all of this subconscious work. And as I sat in meditation yesterday, this just came up out of nowhere that I need to talk about it. I need to talk about it. So I first started by having conversations with my closest girlfriends because they didn't even know. And after I had spoken to them, I felt the shame just dissipating and leaving my body. And I thought, I'm going to share it with the world. I think I've always known that I was eventually going to share it with the world. I just wasn't feeling ready. And so I'm sharing this with you because I know that so many of us struggle with debt. I know so many of us are in debt right now, and I need you to remember that money is not moral. You are not worthy or unworthy depending on your financial situation. The more that we talk about things, the less that shame can breed, the less that shame can exist. And I'm just simply to a point where I'm done feeling shame about this. I'm done. And so if I don't feel shame about it, why not share it with you? Because if I can help one person feel less alone on their journey, it's worth it for me. And I don't really care what the comments are going to say, because if I don't feel shame about it, you can't make me feel shame about it. So moving forward, okay, now that we've got 40 grand, what's the plan? The plan is to give it to God, basically. I am in a full surrender right now with my finances, and I just trust so deeply that I had to get to this level. I had to go to these depths on my journey with money for me to fully untangle my relationship with money. Because if you go all the way back to my childhood, I felt fear and scarcity around money before I even conceptually understood what it was. So as I entered adulthood, I had subconscious beliefs that there wasn't enough money, that money equated to my worth, scarcity, lack. Like I had very, very, very deep-rooted fear patterns around money. So even though I entered adulthood and I was able to manage my own finances, and I consciously knew the right way to manage my finances. I worked in finance for 10 years. I consciously knew the right decisions to make. I would not make those because my subconscious mind was running the show, not my conscious mind. I was operating from my subconscious beliefs that there isn't enough, fear, scarcity, lack, instability. So a lot of times, even when I had money in my checking account, I would spend on a credit card.
I think she has a really good start in changing her mentality towards her credit entirely, but I still think she needs to come up with an actual payment plan and set balance goals for herself to get that back down to zero. Now we're hopping over to one more video about credit card debt where a couple somehow found themselves $65,000 in debt.
So, my husband and I are $60,000 in debt. Okay. Part of the problem, you are. Let me explain how we got here. In June of 2022, we had a good amount of savings and decided that our home that we've been living in for a couple years just needed some maintenance and some upgrade. You can see behind me, we live in like a very normal house, but there were some things like on the outside where our stucco was falling off, so we needed to have that repaired. We had our house painted, we upgraded our bathroom a little bit, and also decided to pay off my husband's private student loan because the interest is not great. And so we had plenty of savings and we decided to just drain those bad boys. We both had really stable jobs. We would be able to squirrel away some money over time and build back up our savings again. 2 weeks later, unexpectedly, I was laid off from my job. And I'm the breadwinner of our household, so it did not go well. I was unemployed for about 7 months. Thank goodness I had social media to keep us afloat for a little bit, but here's the deal. We had to put a lot of stuff on credit card to be able to keep ourselves afloat. So anything that could go on a credit card went on a credit card. And that allowed my husband's income to pay for our mortgage, our car payments, our daycare, things like that. But everything else went on a credit card. We cut back as much as we could, but there's still a lot of expenses.
So it seems like they had a good amount of savings and decided to torch it on some home upgrades. They also paid off private student loans, which seemed to really come back to bite them because they paid it off to avoid that loan's interest rate, yet they're now paying that predatory interest rate on their credit card. I just talked about this with my own experience in my last video, but it seems like they got rid of their emergency fund by getting all these upgrades, and then she got laid off. Of course, it's always important to keep an emergency fund for events like this, which is something both I and this woman have learned the hard way, so I feel for that. Let's see what their plan was.
We finally decided to do a debt consolidation loan, and it's about $65,000. And we're gonna try and pay it off. We did a 5-year loan plan, but we're gonna try and pay it off in the next 2 years if I can finally get that OnlyFans account going. I'm just kidding, I'm not gonna do OnlyFans, but that's our goal. If our kids gets out of daycare this year, we've spent $36,000 a year on daycare, so one of them graduates this year, the other one goes to VPK, so that'll save us a little bit of money. Our hopes are that we're able to put a lot of what we were already paying for daycare towards this loan and get it paid off sooner than planned. But your girl loves to shop, so I'm gonna have to do some shit to keep myself accountable to this. So I'm coming on the internet and telling you what my deepest, darkest secret.
Seems like they have a decent plan and went ahead to consolidate their debt, which can be a really good option in some situations. Hope they can dig themselves out. She did suggest OnlyFans, so you never know. Next up, we've got some people sharing their car payment. Some good and some bad.
What are you driving with your car payment?
I drive a 2020 Corolla and I paid $300.
The thing that always sketches me out about these types of videos is they're always filmed at a dealership. So the conspiracy side of me makes me think that these dealerships are somehow trying to normalize these astronomical car payments.
What are you driving with your payment?
I drive a 2022 Toyota Tundra. I pay $625 a month.
What are you driving with your car payment?
I got a 2024 Grand Highlander. I pay $1,200 a month.
$1,200 a month. I hope you're making at least $150K a year, because if you want to have a stable plan that includes a car payment that high, that's about the amount that you should actually be making.
What are you driving with your payment?
I have a 22 4Runner TRD off-road with no car payment. I paid cash.
What are you driving with your payment?
I have a 2024 Toyota Limited 4Runner and I pay $572 a month.
What are you driving with your payment?
I drive a Mercedes and I have no payment because my parents bought me my first car.
Oh man, it's Mama's Mercedes boy. Well, if he hasn't made a terrible mistake on his car, he's got plenty of time to make mistakes on other expensive things.
What are you driving with your payment?
2023 TRD Camry, it's paid off.
What are you driving with your payment?
Crown, Toyota Crown, Platinum, it's $590.
What are you driving with your payment?
I drive a TRD Camry, payments $550 a month.
Some of these people seem kind of ashamed to share their payment. One good thing about this though is it's at a Toyota dealership and everyone seems to be driving a Toyota. It really speaks to that brand because I've seen videos like this at Nissan dealerships and literally none of the employees drove a Nissan. Now we're hopping over to an unfortunate situation where a couple is forced to sell their wedding ring and drain their savings to file bankruptcy.
So yesterday I sold my wedding ring and I drained our savings so that we can have the money to file bankruptcy. Here's the money to be able to file. I'm here now waiting for my appointment at 10.
This sounds like a really sad situation of some people who got roped up in debt, and it's super sad that they needed to sell the ring.
We've been debating on doing this for a while, but today's the day we're actually going to do it, and it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks before we sign and everything's a done deal. But we thought long and hard about this, and we feel like that's the only way that we can get some relief. My husband's not very happy about the fact that I sold my ring, but we needed the money quick, and I wanted to be able to pay in full today. But he's not happy with me, and he's also not happy that the savings, we have no more savings now. It's gone. We're going to be doing a Chapter 7, and so we're going to keep the house and car, but like the credit cards, all of that will be discharged. And it's kind of giving us a fresh start, which is what we need, because I have been stressing out of my mind over the amount of bills and debt that we have.
The bright side of their situation is that they did retain some experts to help them through the process, and that can make all the difference. If you find yourself really in a hole, you want to hire somebody who knows what they're doing. I really hope they can turn it around. All too often, we're seeing these situations become the norm for so many people. Most people are stretched super thin nowadays, and careless mistakes can easily send you over the edge. Financial stability goes hand in hand with overall happiness, and instability can absolutely come with a ton of stress and bad mental health. I hope everybody out there is doing okay, and if you're not, take a hard pause and evaluate your situation and make a plan for yourself. Consider hiring someone to help you if that's what you really need. I don't wish financial instability on anyone, but sometimes it can be the result of some pretty poor decisions. And even though that can be tough, it can provide us with a really valuable opportunity to learn and grow as a person. Thanks for watching, and if you've seen any cringeworthy financial advice on TikTok, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to support the channel, please remember to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.